to Ryan Perez in the paint off a couple of shots and wins. Now Santa Maria will put up a three. Bang! Santa Maria! Here's Warner. Here comes a headed jam. Counted for two. Field. Adios! And the Falcons win on a walk-off. And it's saved. What a game. Smacked to the left. That is gone.
Next week is the start of none other than the Venom League up in Edinburgh, Texas at the DHR Health and Wellness Center. And then, of course, you also before that, the day before that, the Monday before that to be exact, this upcoming Monday, you have none other than Highway 83 in Donna High School. That's always fun, or Donna North. I forget exactly which one. Probably both if I had to say so. If not, it's only one of them, and they use the back gym for the other matches. That's a very fun tournament. Highway 83, it's been there forever and ever, and of course the Highway 83 League consists of idea schools to the San Ysidro's, that the upper to lower side of the valley almost. Of course, Harlingen, they like to come down to the Edinburgh realm, of course, because what does that mean for themselves? Well, it's pretty simple. They get to play against the higher caliber teams of PSA High School for volleyball, the Edinburgh North, the Edinburgh Highs, the Edinburgh Velas, the McAllen High Schools, the McAllen Memorials, the McAllen Rose, to just a lot of different teams. From La Jolla's, of course, they come down to play in that tournament as well. The Venom League and the Summer League, yes, of course, you'd still be missing a couple of your players 9 times out of 10, but for the most part, you have your roster there because it gets them ready. It gets them set for, well, the season ahead. Right after that, you have your tournaments. You have your in-season tournaments from Sherryland High School having their tournament. I don't know if Hidalgo does anymore, but of course, the big ones like the Pound Fest up in McAllen, the Brownsville ISD tournament. Donna has their own tournament as well. So it's a lot of different tournaments for the in-season tournament. They get you ready for, of course, what comes up next after that. Well, your Tuesday matches to your district matches, which is very important because then, of course, right as it gets closer to the end, you start to have. So it's just a long season, and it starts really, I would say, next Monday and Tuesday, just due to that tournament. So very exciting for that. Of course, like I've mentioned before, yes, we are still on that RGV Red Crown season. We'll talk about them and how their interesting week has been, to say the least. How their interesting season has been, to say the least. It's been very good, and there's been some ups, there's been some downs, unfortunately, and all the downs are just different, I would say, than any other downs I've been able to cover and or seen. To be fair, the league for clubs really new with this Lone Star Conference, and of course we'll talk about that, or the Texas Conference, I should say. It's been very interesting, to say the least, for the RGV Red Crowns in their inaugural season. Like I mentioned, we'll get down to it because it's coming down to today, the final match of the regular season. They play Austin United. This is where, of course, we'll start the show and talk about. But a couple of things that I have to get done for, of course, is, well, we'll talk motorsports if we have time to talk that. And, of course, the triple header, that was the fun thing of the triple header. And so there's just much to really talk about. And, of course, one thing that I do have to mention, as always, and this is so important as well, for Rio Sports Live Network, we are coming up to, well, as we come up to volleyball season, not too long after that is football season. And so one of the biggest things that is coming out, and it includes both, is none other than the Rio Sports Live magazine. And that's going to be very exciting. We're talking about 80 teams or so on in the magazine itself, with sponsors, of course, and all of this fun stuff, and everything about the key players to the key dates, to, of course, their schedules. You'll have the media day photos, I believe, on there as well. It's very exciting in itself, especially with the addition of volleyball in their magazine for Rio Sports Live that we were able to publish, or will be able to publish very soon. Just get ready for it, to see it at every single high school gymnasium, at every single potential high school football stadium, as well, because it's all going to be exciting. We can't wait for that. There's still about around 60-ish days left until the start of the football season. We don't have much to go for the volleyball season, like I mentioned, so it's going to be very exciting. Once the Venom League happens right after the 4th of July, it's basically the start of the season for me. Of course, yes, none of those games really count, but you do end up playing knockout round style volleyball in the end with the semifinals, which is so cool, or really the tournament on the final day. Why I bring that up is because, well, in the last couple of years, you would have maybe you'd have the Snake Pit rivalry. You'd have the Diamondbacks taking on the Rattlers in the final match, in the final game, I should say. And that's always exciting because, I mean, who's going to win set 1, set 2, set 3, set 4, set 5? And so it always just brings that extra bit of almost spice to it in a way, because it would be their first time playing against each other, even though the whole team's not there yet and it's not a regular game, but they still want to win that tournament because it's so important. And it's so cool to see everyone just get ready for the season in general. And so you get to, especially as an announcer, as a broadcaster, it's perfect for us because now we get to, okay, see the lay of the land. We get to see who's who on what team and who's most likely going to be that key. And so we start to write our notes for the regular season and to see, okay, this is what we expect from this team. This is what we expect from that team. Yes, the coaches aren't there to coach because they are not allowed to until the first day of practice. And the first day of official practice is not until after really the Venom League. So like I mentioned, it's just a time for the teams, the players, to get themselves acclimated with their teammates and all that fun stuff. So very exciting. Like I mentioned, Rio Sports Live magazine coming out very soon. Now coming up, of course, talking about the RGV Red Crowns and their week that they've had. And it's been a pretty interesting one season. And, well, it turned out to be very important just in general. At home, the RGV Red Crowns needed to get a victory. And you could tell throughout the match, especially in the first half, the Red Crowns were able to dominate. But there was something that I noticed a little bit different. And this was pretty interesting. And it was just something that really, for the most part, I hadn't seen the RGV Red Crowns, even on the road, have happened. And it was on the road, the Red Crowns were able to get underneath other teams' skin. This was the first time that I saw Austin United, or a team in general, really affect the style of play for the Red Crowns. The Red Crowns seemed a bit more frustrated at home. And that was interesting to really note. In that first half, yes, the Red Crowns had the possession. They had more opportunities than just to score that one goal. That ended up being a Zach Hargreaves penalty kick that was in the back of the net. And so it was just very interesting indeed to see kind of a different style. The Red Crowns, for the first time, they were back home to play a match. Because Dallas teams are the worst, that's really all I'll leave on that, because, yeah, there's no need to really get into it till it's time to. The Red Crowns were basically a forfeit, sort of, a team that decided, which was 4OFC, to go over to. And so that was, of course, a problem in general. So, we leave into the next side, and the Red Crowns, of course, coming off of a break that they didn't expect to have, and didn't have that kind of confidence booster of playing against a team that was struggling in the League for Clubs conference. And so, I think that may have played into some of it, potentially. Of course, at that time, we had mentioned before that the RGV Red Crowns, on the power rankings, they were just outside of the top 10. They were on the outside looking into that top 10 ranking, to be exact, and we're getting recognition. The RGV Red Crowns for the season, they had never gotten that. And remember, a lot of these players are still, if not all, are still college athletes. And so, and most of them, for that, at least for that time, played with St. Edward's University, played with another team of like maybe UTRGV. Yes, you had some on the bench that weren't going to see the light of day on the field that played for TSC maybe, and others that didn't have that experience to play in pressure. But then you had, of course, Zach Hargreaves, you had Jack Crichton. Those were your two players that could really try and calm the team down at most and have that type of leadership. But again, it just seemed out of sorts at home for the Red Crowns. They seemed like they had a little bit of weight on their shoulders potentially. And I mean, that's kind of the best way to put it, is having the weight on their shoulder. And the unfortunate part of that just showed that they were not necessarily timid at all, but just played with kind of a weight on their shoulder, which was fine. But here's the thing. The Red Crowns for that match, I talked about it with my colleague Edson Ochoa. It just, for the Austin United match, having problems, not necessarily controlling possession, but having problems just staying focused. Every single time that we've seen this team play at home almost, besides against Central Dallas FC, has been that one tiny mistake for the Red Crowns, and where they've been where their opposition has taken advantage of that one mistake and has brought it to the back of the net. And sure enough, that happened when the Red Crowns had an opportunity to be up 1-0. Making one mistake on the defensive side, counterattack opportunity. Here comes Austin United FC. Jack Crichton kind of steps off the goal, and then back of the net it goes. Austin United score. It's 1-0. This time it wasn't off the set piece. Thankfully for just the Red Crowns, it seems like they've worked on that set piece sort of situation. And Austin United FC in that aspect didn't seem dangerous on the set pieces. Now, that was, of course, 1-0, and this was right before halftime, and the RGV Red Crowns, it's back to that 5 minutes of sorts of, can they get another goal back? It took them a little longer, but were able to get back in the final third. I believe Rivera gets tripped up in the box, and then all of a sudden, it's a PK. Second PK at home. RGV Red Crowns looking to find the back of the net to at least tie it up, equalize before halftime, to make the halftime talks a little bit different and to see what could possibly happen in this second half. Well, then all of a sudden, yes, gets tripped up in the box. It is a PK. Zach Hargreaves takes a look at it, steps back, does a little bit of a step, and is able to put it in the back of the net, bottom left corner, back of the net to be exact. 1-all your score, and back to a new game it goes. Basically 0-0, but of course 1-1 your score. So then, of course, halftime whistle blows, and that's going to be an interesting halftime talk. In the second half, all of a sudden, we saw more substitutions. The RGV Red Crowns trying to tactically change their game plan in a way. And the same went for Austin United FC. They really answered that call and were able to tactically change on the fly on the defense to make sure that they could shut down the RGV Red Crowns. That was pretty interesting. And so the RGV Red Crowns, you could tell in that second half that they were struggling. But very quickly, I believe it was Izaid had the ball right wing. At one point, it was Vicente. But either way, on that right wing, trying to get it centered. And all of a sudden, Keviano with an opportunity. It was maybe off counter, I forget exactly. But either way, Keviano with an opportunity. Slots the ball home as the keeper came off his line. Puts it away. 2-1. Your score. So now the RGV Red Crowns, they lead 2-1. This was the difference After that goal, Austin United FC changed their tactics once again to really combat exactly what was going on with their wingers kind of having problems and things like that, able to tighten up their line. They didn't necessarily need to make it go forward, but they just tightened it up. And so that was a big thing, and sure enough, the Red Crowns, they struggled for the rest of the match. And struggled they did. Because all of a sudden, Austin United FC had chance after chance after chance in the final third, in their own attacking third to be exact. And sure enough, Austin United FC were able to, around I believe the 60th minute, we'll give you exactly the timeline of the Austin United FC goals, because that's just interesting, of course, to kind of bring up. Of course, the shout out to the RGV Red Crowns Twitter, because they were, of course, X. Because that's one of the things that the RGV Red Crowns, they've done very well with, has been their social media presence. And of course, we'll go back down to the biggest thing, which was exactly this. So Austin United FC, of course, scored in the 95th minute, but before that it was 2-2, 58th minute. After Keviano Francis puts the Red Crowns up 2-1. All of a sudden, in the 58th minute, goal scored by Austin United in the 58th minute. So just like that, it was back to square one. Could the Red Crowns go ahead in that match? Not really. They were struggling to get the possession. They were struggling to have an opportunity to find the back of the net. Coach Reyna did as much as he possibly could to try and combat it. Substitutions left and right, just trying to make something happen. It didn't end up necessarily really working the best way as much as Coach Reyna would have liked. One of the, of course, things is just the way that Austin United played the game. The coach played the game well, where they were able to turn the tide, kind of change it around, and all of that. One of the times, of course, while we were talking to Austin United FC, they had their head coach sent off due to a red card, because a goal that was not called a goal, and an opportunity for Austin United to take the lead the first time. Open opportunity, takes a strike, and it's hit off the crossbar, bounces down for a split second, technically past the goal, and bounces out. That would be called a goal, but of course there's no goal line technology in this league, the league for clubs, and it's normally how it goes. So the referees, of course, they didn't end up making it a goal, as it was cleared away for a corner for Austin United FC. And for Austin United FC, of course, if you were head coach and noticed that it looked like it went in, I'd be furious too. The referees went together. They weren't talking about the goal. They were talking about what possibly the head coach of Austin United said. And it was enough to be warranted a red card. So the head coach of Austin United was sent off, which is pretty interesting. You move on, of course. Then Zach Hargreaves gets a yellow card. A little further down the line, and then all of a sudden, in the 90th minute, it was just around like 88 or 89 to be exact, so 90th minute, Austin United, they find the back of the net, and it is 3-2. We could see it coming from a mile away for Austin United to find the back of the net, and they did, making it 3-2 over the RGV Red Crowns. Then in the 95th minute, after, what did the Red Crowns do? Well, they found themselves down by a goal, 3-2, so they sent up their lines. They made it an all-out attack, sending everyone up as much as possible to try and find the back of the net. And then the counterattack opportunity leaves the Red Crowns, of course, the defense susceptible to potentially a goal. Gets all the way down the field. Jack comes off his line again. Goal. 4-2, your final. And then, of course, the next match was supposed to be Saturday against FC Revolution. That match did not end up happening. It ended up being a forfeit. The Red Crowns do receive 3 points from that match. FC Revolution did not end up coming down. They had transportation issues. We will read you, of course, the official statement, I should say. Which this was just important to really read. The official statement from, of course, last Saturday's match for not happening from the Rio Grande Valley Red Crowns, the RGVFC Red Crown, or the RGV Red Crowns. Official statement from the RGV Red Crowns, very simple. We have remained respectful and focused throughout this season, but recent events have forced us to speak out. Initially, we were approached by Fruia FC with a request to reschedule our match. Their reason, they chose to prioritize playing in the UPSL playoffs over fulfilling their obligations in League for Clubs play. While we were willing to hear them out, let us be clear that decision is unacceptable to our club, our fans, and most importantly, our players. Then today, June 28th at 10:50 a.m., we were notified by FC Revolution, a DFW-based club, that they were having trouble traveling and were seeking last-minute solutions. Given the distance and timing, their request was logistically unrealistic and left us with no viable path forward for tonight's match. The RGV Red Crowns were founded on 3 principles: authenticity, intentionality, and genuine commitment to the Rio Grande Valley. We owe it to our supporters to be transparent about our commitment to advocating for fairness, not just for us, but for every club that shows up ready to compete. Our players, most of whom are Valley-born and raised, have poured their summer, their energy, and their passion into this mission. They've trained relentlessly and competed with pride, all for our crest and our community. 2 matches, both impacted by opponent decisions outside our control, is unacceptable and will not be tolerated. We are actively working to find solutions for our fans, sponsors, and everyone who has believed in this club from day one. This isn't just about a game, it's about integrity. Jamal Fayyad, RGV Red Crowns president. So, of course, you take into consideration about that. It's frustrating. Even for myself, me being a broadcaster, me being with, of course, my colleague Edson Ochoa, we pride ourselves, especially myself, I pride myself on being, of course, unbiased when I call the matches. A little, of course, just a tiny more biased towards the RGV Red Crowns, especially when a goal is being called. There's more excitement, of course, when a Red Crowns goal is scored compared to, of course, when an Austin United goal scorer or any other team at home. And unfortunately for the Red Crowns at the moment, of course, not that their season is done and dusted, but the home schedule, the home stand for the RGV Red Crowns is over for this regular season. And so, of course, for us, we're waiting on that official stand, and that's very important. It's very weird. 2 Dallas-based clubs decide not to show up is strange. Especially when you know, as a club, that you're, besides, of course, 4OSC, let's take them out of the equation. For FC Revolution, don't get why they decided not to come down for Friday, Friday. Instead, Saturday early morning. Trying to save money, that's a difficult drive, and it's not worth it for anybody to put themselves through that. It's very strange. It always will be. And that's where the RGV Red Crowns stand at the moment. When we return, we are going to talk about the player of the team of the week for the RGV Red Crowns. Of course, they have a player on the team of the week from last Wednesday's match, and then we'll talk about tonight's match, the final regular season match of the season. And guess what? It's against Austin United FC, so it's going to be a fun talk. We'll be right back after this. Stay tuned.
This summer, settle in and reconnect with one another. South Padre Island has so many great places to stay. Condos, resorts, and hotels. Oh my! Book your summer getaway today. And start making memories poolside with the people you care about most. Visit sopadre.com.
Elevation, AT4, AT4X, Denali. Case closed. Fruia GMC, we're professional grade.
Fiber, this is our home. Take a look at what we do.
At San Benito Vision Source, the optometry staff works around your busy schedule and take the time to answer your questions and concerns prior to a visit. Dr. Jaime Rodriguez and Dr. Laura Loki offering full vision examinations, diagnostics, and treatment of an array of eye diseases and conditions to keep your eyes healthy. Call the friendly staff today with questions or schedule a consultation. San Benito Vision Source.
Sunny Glen Children's Home has provided a place of hope for every child since 1936. If you'd like more information on Sunny Glen and the services we offer, please visit us at www.sunnyglen.org.
South Padre Island. Enjoy endless activities for all ages. Then dance the night away with live music. Savor fresh seafood and discover unique food trucks and shop our charming boutiques. What are you waiting for? Escape the everyday at South Padre Island.
Sherryland ISD, a nationally recognized district focusing on quality and rigorous instruction where every child is immersed in a culture of academic success. Sherryland ISD, excellence is our tradition.
When you study local at Texas Southmost College, you can choose from over 50 associate degree programs, certificates, and workforce training programs, all at the most affordable cost in the Rio Grande Valley. Transfer your TSC credits to a university or start a new career, like Kat Gomez, who graduated from TSC and is now patrolling the streets of Brownsville and serving her community. Register now at tsc.edu/register and study local at Texas Southmost College.
At San Benito Vision Source, the optometry staff works around your busy schedule and take the time to answer your questions and concerns prior to a visit. Dr. Jaime Rodriguez and Dr. Laura Loki offering full vision examinations, diagnostics, and treatment of an array of eye diseases and conditions to keep your eyes healthy. Call the friendly staff today with questions or schedule a consultation. San Benito Vision Source.
This summer, it's time for mimosas and brunch with the girls. A beachside lunch with the kiddos. Delicious Bayside burgers. And world-famous fried shrimp with a cold one. South Padre Island has your breakfast, lunch, and dinner plans covered. Book your summer getaway today. Visit sopadre.com.
Back live we go once again here from Luke Fruia Buick GMC. If you're in the market for a new car, we'll check out Luke Fruia Buick GMC and Cadillac. Of course, located in Brownsville, Texas, a friendly family and you will be able to, once again, easily be able to get in a new car. Anyways, moving on, once again, we're going to quickly talk about the League for Clubs Team of the Week for the Texas Conference from Week 7. Let's get him, Jake Young. This is Real Sports Live Network. Just in case you didn't catch that the first time, let's just make sure that I hit every, of course, thing that I need to hit. Anyways, let's read you the Team of the Week for this week, coming up into, of course, now Week 8. Your final week, I guess, of the season, really, to put things into perspective. Devin Arnold, of course, for Austin United FC. He, of course, the forward. Then the U23s of FC Dallas, a.k.a. FC Frisco. Timothy Ospina. And then, of course, you have Luis Mahecha of Central Texas Coyotes. Then Mika Bardia, that's your, of course, front for the forwards. Anyways, Jared Aguilar, your midfielder, with Edric Rosado from Central Dallas. Then Keviano Francis, your midfielder, making the Team of the Week for the Red Crowns. The only player for the RTV Red Crowns this week to make it to the Team of the Week, which, in a way, again, we talk about it, it's unfair, because the RTV Red Crowns did technically score 3 goals at home this last Saturday without ever hitting the field or touching the ball. Because, yes, the forfeit was given for the FC Revolution match, and normally, just in general, to put a scoreline there, it's normally 3-0. So, something, of course, to take into consideration. And that's, of course, how it normally has been. Anyways, Keviano Francis, congratulations to him for making it on to the Team of the Week. Now, we don't have any roster news just yet for, of course, your lineup. The lineups are normally given about an hour away. My guess would be we'll expect a different lineup. There's a couple of players, of course, that will be inactive for this Wednesday, if I had to say so myself, as it's getting closer and closer to the end of the Summer League and all of that. A lot of players have to go back to college. So that's one thing to, of course, look after or look out for in general. But, of course, after that match, technically, for the Red Crowns getting the 3 points, we haven't necessarily seen a standings really so far, and so I kind of want to see one to be exact, as we haven't really seen a full, I guess, conference. We've seen one for the Mountain Conference, but haven't recently seen one for the Red Crowns in the Texas Conference. Trying to find that exactly. Or Cal Conference. So we'll go up to okay, so have not seen one, but anyways. The biggest thing, of course, is that if I'm correct on all of this, the RGV Red Crowns should be, at the moment, in a playoff position, even with the unofficially given the 3 points to the match against 4-0 SC. That puts this team at 18 points. So, of course, we want to look at exactly the conferences. Go down to the Texas Conference. This is what, of course, this is from their website, the League for Clubs website in the Texas Conference. What is the standings for you here? Because, again, this last Saturday, 4-0 SC drew against Austin United FC. So it just makes things a little more frustrating for the Red Crowns of how they could have been. It's just about the with the Red Crowns just trying to find exactly the standings. And there we go. Right now, the RGV Red Crowns, they sit in fifth place, outside looking in. If they were to be given the 3 points, they would be in third place alone with 18 points. With Austin United FC, the match means so much for tonight. If the Red Crowns were to win, they could potentially be first place in this conference due to the fact of the head-to-head versus FC Dallas U23s. It's given the fact of we don't know how, as everyone has played 9 matches, so I believe there's only 9 matches to be played. And so, let's check that 10 matches to be played. So, really the Red Crowns would have already had 9 matches played and had 18. So, this is a very important match. If the Red Crowns get a victory against Austin United FC, they are locked into the playoffs. If they get the 3 points against Foro, then all of a sudden they are locked into not only a playoff spot, but also locked into a hosting spot. Potentially, that's already been a thing. So we'll wait and see how it all plays out here. Again, it's going to be very interesting. This is a very important match. Again, we got to see Austin United FC play last week. The biggest thing is how much the Red Crowns can easily improve from what they saw at home. The tactical changes can easily be done. Of course, this is from just an outsider's perspective in a way. And everything. We didn't get any post-match comments from Coach last Wednesday for this team. So it's kind of not necessarily a guessing game, but just something that we would kind of expect to see. So I don't know how it's going to look like for this team, this club. The Red Crowns, of course, needing a victory here tonight to lock themselves in for the most part, and getting, of course, the 3 points would lock them into most likely hosting. Of course, the top 2 would host, but with the RGV Red Crowns in their situation, there's a potential thing that they would automatically host, no matter what happens. Of course, it's very much an outside chance. This RGV Red Crown team has been a thrill to be able to cover. And it has shown that these players that were given the opportunity to play were more than capable to not only be in this situation, but to be playing professionally. Makes me have a feeling that there is a good chance this team will not be shown in this league next year. This is of course just my 2 cents in a way of saying, well, I think the RGV Red Crowns are this good and the stadium is this good to be able to just say, you know, we're not going to return this next year. We're not even going to return to Summer League soccer. We're going straight to professional in League One. That's what I'd like to see. I think it's a possibility, but we'll wait and see, of course. This club has grown so much in the span of 2-3 months that even I would say this club has even outgrown some of their sponsors too. And this is just my thought as well. And so it's very interesting. And the way that it's been done has been so well. The way that Kobe and their technical director and everyone has been a part of this team has really pushed forward with them has been great. They wanted to win from the get-go. They were able to be successful, not on the first match, but in that second match at home, winning 1-0. Then all of a sudden, that next opportunity, scoring a chance, of course, to win at home, just losing against Corinthians FC, going undefeated on the road in that span of June, was very impressive. Then all of a sudden, the problems, of course, hit, and it wasn't even problems for the team. The team was minding their own business, doing exactly what they needed to do. And again, it's been so refreshing to see. You know, it's not a corporate thing. It's almost a fan-owned club in a way, and it's been perfect to see this style of soccer in the U.S. Just done this way, instead of it being all corporate like the MLS, like the team that used to be here, the Red Crowns, or not the Red Crowns, the Toros. I've loved every second of it. I want to continue, of course, to see this team grow and to be a part of this team even more than I have been, to almost be full-time with this team, because it's that special. Of course, it's only at the moment a Summer League team, but we expect it to be more. Anyways, enough with my rant. Expectations for tonight for the RGV Red Crowns against Austin United FC? Well, it will be simple. Play your style of soccer. Don't let them get under your skin. The Red Crowns should be able to potentially end up winning. So that's going to be very interesting in general. Hopefully they can get a 2-0 to 3-1 match win potentially, or anything of that sort. RGV Red Crowns have looked great so far, and that's kind of been your difference maker. And again, at home they should have been able to win, so that's been the interesting part about all of it. RGV Red Crowns, again, looking for a victory. We'll see if that happens here very soon. We'll be right back after this. Stay tuned.
Truck Techs in Harlingen is your source for lifts, wheels, and tires. Talking trucks of any size, any model, and any year. Specializing in accessories with top-of-the-line products to bring that special look to your truck in a professional way. Lifts, wheels, and tires, with financing available too. Call today or stop by Truck Techs in Harlingen.
My son Leo just graduated from high school, but also with his associate degree from Texas Southmost College at no cost at all. Not having that financial burden was so helpful to our family. That's 2 years we did not have to pay for.
All of my TSC credits transferred to UTRGV, and I am so grateful to go into my major debt-free.
This summer, it's time to go outside and get some air. Explore a pirate ship. Or go horseback riding on the beach. And you can't forget about all the fun on the bay. South Padre Island has so much to do for the whole family. Book your summer getaway today. Visit SoPadre.com.
South Padre Island. Enjoy endless activities for all ages. Then dance the night away with live music, savor fresh seafood, and discover unique food trucks and shop our charming boutiques. What are you waiting for? Escape the everyday at South Padre Island.
Graduation time. Time to make some decisions. What's next? Can I afford to continue my education? What are my options? At Brownsville ISD Career and Technical Education, you can graduate from high school with a certificate and/or license ready to go to work, debt-free. We have a wide range of programs for every student ranging from audiovisual, law enforcement, STEM robotics, electrical, welding, pharmacy, patient care tech, and many more to choose from. That's why Brownsville ISD is the best choice.
Back live once again here from Luke Fruia, Buick GMC and Cadillac, located in Brownsville, Texas. If you're new in the market for a new car, well, come check out Buick GMC and Cadillac. Well, Luke Fruia, Buick GMC and Cadillac. Let's get up Jacob Young, the Fruia Sports Live Network here. And while we talked about soccer, we talked about, of course, the magazine. We'll talk a little bit more about that, of course. Well, it's in production. Not too soon from now, it will be out. And it's going to be great. We've had the media days for it exactly for the football and for the volleyball one. That's going to be phenomenal. Looking forward to it. Soccer or volleyball season and football season is coming up, of course. And so that's going to be very exciting indeed. So looking forward to it all is fantastic. And looking forward to it once again. So one of the things, of course, to talk about is none other than, well, we like, of course, the racing talk, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But before we do that, let me just tell you something. If you have not yet, go watch, of course, F1 the movie. It was absolutely great. Reminding me, of course, Top Gun. The best way that I can put it is a movie. So don't expect anything more. Don't expect anything less. It was just done so well that it was very impressive indeed, especially the first scene with the IMSA cars. Absolutely perfect. Where does Sonny Hayes come from? That's exactly where. From IMSA, from sports car racing. Just absolutely top tier, top. It was very well done. I went to go watch it this weekend, watched it twice. Absolutely worth it. Absolutely worth it indeed. So, of course, that leads us into the perfect topic, of course, really just to talk about. And it's pretty interesting. Of course, with it was none other than, well, this triple header that we had. The triple header that we had was pretty interesting. From starting off 3 weeks ago in Le Mans for the Le Mans 24 hours. We had that completed, of course, and that included, of course, your GTDs, aka in WEC it would be the LMGT 3s. Then you had, of course, your LMP2s, and then you had your LMDHs, which is the Le Mans Daytona Hypercars or something like that. Well, really just hypercars. And that. So that, of course, was Le Mans 24 hours. That was absolutely phenomenal. We talked about it a little bit on this show. And then we moved on and talked about none other than, of course, a week right after that was a bit of a doubleheader, which was pretty interesting. You had IMSA on the same weekend as the 24 hours of the Nürburgring. So 6 hours of the sailing, 6 hours of the Glen, and the Nürburgring 24 hours. The Nürburgring 24 hours at the start was pretty interesting and pretty fun. With the Nürburgring, of course, 24 hours, you had, of course, Samantha Tan was a part of the mini team. I believe it was Bulldog Racing. So that was pretty epic in itself, and it was so much fun for them to play, or it was so much fun for it all, which was awesome. And then you had this last week the 24 hours of Spa. The CrowdStrike 24 Hours of Spa absolutely was phenomenal and was something that no one expected for the end to be, and really for the race to be, because it was a little more chaotic than we anticipated. Anticipated the Nürburgring 24 to be the most chaotic race of all three of them, maybe even the Le Mans 24. Instead, in my eyes, it was the CrowdStrike 24 Hours of Spa, with 74 drivers, of course, starting on the grid. It was pretty interesting to see. And it was pretty cool. Pretty neat, indeed. So really just kind of breaking it down for you all in that race, right as it started, not too long into it, there was it was pretty interesting. Again, as I mentioned, at the start, not too long into the start, we had ourselves our first full safety car. Then we had a pretty bad wreck indeed. And that was something, of course, not out of nothing, but just kind of upsetting in a way. Just the way that it happened. Unfortunately, that's what you'll get. There are a good amount of blind turns in Spa, from, of course, Blanchimont to La Source, and all of those places. So there was a bit of chaos, but for the most part able to stay green, but getting the rhythm, of course, was key. But then a good amount of yellow flags, no red flags in general for the CrowdStrike 24 Hours of Spa. But it was a bit start, stop for the race, just due to, of course, a lot of cars being on the track, a lot of different drivers being on the track. From you had your bronze drivers to your silver drivers to your gold drivers to your platinum drivers, all of them, of course, being a part of the race. Anyways, that was kind of your 24 Hours of Spa. Lamborghini, one of the Lamborghini teams, ends up winning overall, which was pretty interesting just to witness the way that it happened, with Porsche versus Lamborghini closer to the end. Unfortunately, it could not be Kelvin van der Linde and his BMW team to come to the rescue for BMW and win it. For a while there, it did look like that was a good opportunity, a good chance for them, but overnight things did change, and in the mornings, that's when you started to see who was ready for it. So that, of course, was the key. So that was just one of the interesting things about the 24 Hours of Spa. BMW don't end up winning, and it ends up being Lamborghini, something that we have not seen recently, where Lamborghini have been that successful to win one of these prestigious races, one of these prestigious endurance races, to say the least. So absolutely a fantastic job for Lamborghini in the end. That was just in the 24 Hours of Spa. The 24 Hours of the Nürburgring, we had talked about it. BMW win overall, which was absolutely amazing with Kelvin van der Linde. And at that point, they were undefeated in the season for the IGTC, which is absolutely out of the ordinary in a way, to win the 24 Hours of Nürburgring and to win the 12 Hours of Bathurst, the Bathurst 12 Hours. And not to mention that BMW are very successful at the end, for the end of the season race, the IGTC final event with the 8 hours of none other than Indianapolis. The Indy 8 Hours, to be exact, is what it's called. They're very successful there. Then you go over to the other side. Which is just pretty interesting indeed. So very happy for this team, or very happy for just the way that sports car racing has been. The 6 hours, the Saline 6 hours, was absolutely epic too, with Cadillac almost getting a victory as well. And I brought up, of course, the F1 movie because it starts off in sports car racing. One of the coolest things is, of course, you're seeing the race for the lead in the middle of the night. And that was pretty interesting in general. With just, of course, it was Cadillac, Welling Cadillac at the top, so pretty interesting, pretty epic indeed, and just something that was awesome. That's pretty much going to do it for this show. There's not much else to really talk about. It's been fun being able to cover this show, being able to do this show, and I hope to do it for a lot longer. Hopefully we'll get some guests on, trying to my best to do that as well constantly. Of course, as football season continues, I'm sure, or starts back up, I'm sure we'll get some, but also a couple of special guests that that I bring on will probably happen here very soon. Of course, I was thinking about bringing on some RGV Red Crown players, if not, of course, the president, Jamal Kobe Fayyad, but they're, of course, in Austin this weekend, or this week, to face Austin United FC, as we had mentioned before. So that, of course, didn't end up happening. But no worries, of course. Hopefully they end up getting the victory for the RGV, and that's going to be key for this side. Of course, what's a different lineup, but I'm sure that lineup is ready for the challenge, just like the others were. It's going to be very exciting. If they win here, very simple, they have clinched the playoffs in a very good spot, because most likely we will get the RGV Red Crowns will be getting the 3 points of that other forfeit that is going to most likely come up here very soon. If not, I would be shocked if they play, but there's an outside chance that they play this Saturday against 4OSC. That would be the outside chance in a way. So again, just very exciting indeed for how the RGV Red Crowns have been this season. And again, football season coming up here very soon. Don't know how, we'll see how all of it plays out and goes. But that will do it for us here. I've been Jacob Young. This has been a Real Sports Live presentation, and of course tune in next week for more of the same, most likely, and we'll see if the Red Crowns are in the playoffs and all of this fun stuff. And I'll let you know, of course, that. And also, one thing that is happening right now, FIFA Club World Cup, and of course the UEFA Women's Euros have officially started here today, with none other than Finland defeating Iceland 1-0 in the opening match of this season, or of this tournament. So very exciting in that. Well, once again, I've been Jacob Young. This has been a Real Sports Live presentation. We will see you all very soon.